This is the smallest VR headset in the world, and for its size, it packs a serious punch. The Bigscreen Beyond 2 is Bigscreen's second release VR headset, and it's around 16% lighter than the original. And now it even has more features that makes this potentially one of the best VR headsets you can buy. But it's not for everyone. Today, we're breaking down all the features of the Bigscreen Beyond 2, the pros, the cons, and the eye tracking, as I've got the 2E model, which means it has that feature. So we'll be talking about that as well. So let's get into it. For starters, the Bigscreen Beyond 2 is a PC VR headset, so you must have a VR-enabled gaming PC for this headset to run, and I recommend a pretty beefy one. It also runs on Steam VR, which means it needs base stations for its tracking, and third-party controllers like the Valve Index or Vive ones. And for context, I've used the Bigscreen Beyond 1 pretty extensively in the past, also the Valve Index, so I'm pretty familiar with the headset and the Steam VR setup. So I was excited to check out the Beyond 2. Spec-wise, the Bigscreen Beyond 2 is very impressive. Most notably, it's running dual micro OLED display, which delivers a resolution of 5120 by 2560 and up to a 90Hz refresh rate. And with the new pancake optics design, they say it improves the edge-to-edge clarity, lens glare, and sweet spot, and also delivers an 116-degree field of view, which is greater than the previous model. But how does it actually feel to use? Well, I don't know what to say except it's stunning. Like, there's not another VR headset that I've tried that can match the visual fidelity of the Beyond 2. The micro OLED display delivers on rich, contrasted colors, and the level of detail is just insane. Like, this is what VR is meant to feel like. It's kind of like how I imagine VR to be, with this high visual fidelity and graphical detail. It's just such a beautifully immersive experience. Like, sure, Kayak VR is a pretty simple game, but I can happily just travel around the environments forever in this thing. And jumping back into Half-Life again, such an amazing experience. I wish I could have raised my first time of playing Half-Life Alyx on my Oculus Rift CV1 and experience it again for the first time on the Bigscreen Beyond 2, because it's pretty damn stunning. And for context, I've just upgraded my GPU to a 5080, so I was running the game at full fidelity, and it just feels like what VR should be. The sweet spot in Beyond 2 is really decent as well. My strap did slip a bit at times though, but they do provide a top strap which helps with comfort. I would say the sweet spot is definitely better than the PlayStation VR 2, which I just re-reviewed recently. I think better than the Quest, I don't know. Hard to tell, I have to do more comparison. And the edge-to-edge clarity is pretty great. The field of view is improved, but definitely still limited than some other VR headsets. But I personally don't feel like it bothers me. I mean, sure, more would be nice, but you can't have everything. But I know that is an important factor for sim races. There is some glare in dark scenes, but I didn't find it a big deal. A lot of people make a big deal out of glare, but I find it pretty bearable. And it can also be helped with adjusting the brightness in the settings. But in some games, I did find the blacks too black and too contrasted, and I did struggle to see what was going on a little bit. So in like horror games and like, I can't see where to go. But again, this can potentially be tweaked. There's also the Bigscreen Beyond utility app that you download, which lets you adjust things like brightness and refresh rate, and also fan speed, and also other features. And especially if you have the 2E model, this is where you adjust all the eye tracking settings. I wish the app was a little bit more user-friendly, but it's nice as an app that you can tweak things. Another unique feature of the Bigscreen Beyond is that it comes with a custom facial cushion. When ordering the headset, it requests a face scan through an app, and Bigscreen print out a custom fit cushion for you that exactly fits your face, which means no light leakage and perfect comfort. Well, for most people. But more about that later. In the previous model, the IPD was fixed, which was determined by your face scan. But the Bigscreen Beyond 2 now has an adjustable IPD. To be honest, this is one of the coolest features. In the box, it comes with a little small tool, which you use to place into the side of the headset. And by twisting it, you are able to exactly tweak the IPD to wherever you want for each eye. And to clarify, IPD is the difference between your eyes, in case you didn't know. But this is a really cool feature, and it means I'm able able to easily share the headset. And speaking of sharing, the Bigscreen 2 now has options of a universal cushion. There is a soft version and a firm version, and to be honest, I think this is way better than the custom cushion. While on paper the custom cushion sounds great, it can also create issues. For me personally, I've always struggled with my eyelashes being too long, and I had the exact same issue on the Bigscreen 1 where my eyelashes just continually touch the screen and kind of cause smudges, and yeah, I had the same issue on the 2. And I found with this face cushion in particular, I got quite a lot of pressure on the top of my nose. I did also find it with the universal cushion as well, to be honest. I don't really know a workaround for that. But yeah, I guess the problem is the comfort's an issue for some people. But I would seriously consider the universal fit because it might fit you better than a custom one might. Whereas the universal fit, I preferred the firm version. It felt a lot comfier and cooler while still blocking out light and creating the right fit. So if you are looking at getting the Bigscreen Beyond, considering the universal fit might be a better option. And overall comfort is fantastic. Like, I've been maining the Quest 3 for a while with an added battery pack, and using something light like the Bigscreen Beyond is such a relief. Like, the thought of spending all day in VR feels a lot more achievable with this headset. Also, they've improved the cable clip at the back of the headset, as this drove me insane on the Beyond 1. It was always slipping out, and now it stays very firmly in place. So amazing job, Bigscreen team. This is really a team who listens to feedback and is dedicated to perfection, and I really respect that about the Bigscreen team because they're always trying to improve their product. But one important thing to note is that the Bigscreen does not have inbuilt audio. So you can choose to use your speakers or headphones, but there is the option of purchasing the audio strap. I find the audio strap pretty decent. My only gripe is that it's hard to get on and off. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong, but I still prefer the audio strap over any other option though. And I believe there is now a halo mount you can buy, which I think would work really well with the audio strap. Looks a lot comfier, so I may end up purchasing that. I just wish the audio strap was more like the Valve Index head strap. But if you do own a Valve Index, you can actually 3D print an adapter to make it work with the Beyond, which is pretty cool. Now onto eye tracking. When purchasing the Bigscreen Beyond 2, you have the option of the 2E version, which includes eye tracking. And eye tracking is a desirable feature for many reasons. Most notably, VRChat gamers love using eye tracking for realistic body tracking. And Bigscreen have recently announced supporting dynamic foveated rendering, which is in beta, and where it tracks your eyeballs in real time and renders what you're looking at in higher detail while rendering the outsides in lower detail. To set up the eye tracking features, I had to go through a calibration process, and this was pretty easy. Now, this feature is in beta, so it's not all smooth sailing. I did have to make a few tweaks to the game I'm using to enable the features, and I do want to emphasize, make sure you follow the steps closely because I didn't, and it didn't work properly and I didn't realize, but second time around was all good, so follow the steps. Now, I do have to disclose, I'm not a VR chat gamer. I'm an introvert. Talking to strangers online sounds like my worst nightmare. But if you are a VR chat gamer, I'm sorry, I'm a bit of a noob, but I did jump into VR chat to check out the eye tracking, and to me, it seems like it worked pretty well. It didn't work on all models, but seems pretty good on the ones that supported it. It seems blinking works, but not winks, and I think that's just not a supported feature yet. But from doing some research on the eye tracking, I hear the sweet spot for calibration is pretty strict. Like, you might want to recalibrate each time you use it. But again, this tool is in beta, so it's probably going to improve over time. I then also checked out the dynamic foveated rendering. For this, I tried Kayak VR, and at first, I didn't really notice the difference. But after going back and forward and turning off the feature, I was like, ooh, this makes a big difference. Like, everything just looked more real, and the detail a lot more crisp. And I really hope more games support this feature because Kayak VR was already a stunning game, but this just took it to another level. One downside of the eye tracking is though, heat. I unfortunately did experience a fair bit of extra warmth when using the eye tracking. Yeah, there we go.
but the heat on my face.
It wasn't unsafe levels or anything, just a bit of extra warmth on your face. You can increase the fan settings, which did seem to help a bit, but the warmth wasn't unbearable, but it's kind of not something you would want to deal with for long gaming sessions. And depending on your climate, I live in Australia, it's hot all the time. But again, the eye tracking is in beta, so these things can improve over time. But as to whether the eye tracking is worth the extra cost, I feel like it depends, especially on what games you play. I suggest watching some VRChat or Racing Sim Gamer opinions on the eye tracking, but for me, I was mostly interested on how it improved the visual fidelity with dynamic foveated rendering. And it definitely does. And I can see it making a significant difference if you're on an older GPU as well. I will say one downside of the headset, and an upside to some, is the Steam VR base stations. I've been renovating and painting my house, so I completely packed down all my base stations, and having to use base stations again, it kind of sucks. I know this is probably a bit snobby, but I've just really gotten accustomed to inside-out tracking and the convenience of it. And I don't have a lot of PowerPoints in this room, so trying to find room for those big-ass plugs is always a challenge. And I've currently got them on tripod, so they're constantly kind of in the way. And if you move slightly outside the base stations, then the headset freaks out. Obviously, there's benefits to base stations like improved tracking and support for full-body trackers. And obviously, I still prefer a light headset over the extra weight of inside-out cameras, but still a slight annoyance. I know it's stupid, feel free to flame me, but I don't know, I'm just really over base stations. But if you don't already own base stations, having to invest in them and buy things like the controller really bumps up the cost for this headset. It's a really great headset, and I think seriously worth considering if you already own the base stations and the controllers. But if you don't own that stuff and want the Beyond, make sure you've got pretty deep pockets. Like, to buy 2 base stations in Australia is like $650, and I can't see anywhere where I can buy Valve Index controllers, so it would have to be secondhand. So I think that is the biggest downside for this headset in my opinion. I really wanted to be done with base stations, but Bigscreen have said, we're not done, and they're committed to this technology moving forward. But if it means a lighter headset and potentially cheaper for them, then I support that. And in saying that, this VR headset isn't for everyone. It's for enthusiasts. It's meant to be a high-end headset, and it's probably aimed at existing Valve Index or HTC Vive users. Bigscreen designed a headset that they wanted. They're not trying to please the masses. They're trying to appeal to the people who want the best VR experience possible, no matter what the cost. And for that, it's definitely worth it. Sure, it's not perfect, but I think it's about the damn best VR headset you can buy at the moment. And I love it. And the best part is, it won't be affected by RAM price shortages. But anyway, I love checking out this headset. It's such an amazing quality headset. Like, it's small, amazing visual fidelity. I do highly rate it. But of course, I know it's an expensive headset and not going to be for everyone. I'm still on the fence about the eye tracking. I think it's nice to have, but maybe that extra few $100s is better put towards upgrading a GPU if you're in that position. But I'm excited to see where that technology goes. And maybe Steam might introduce foveated streaming or something for all games. I don't know if that's a thing. But anyway, thanks so much for watching this review. I hope it's helped. And let me know if you got any more questions about the headset or things you want me to check out. It's because it's been such a pleasure jumping into this headset. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.